So we're gonna start with the Houthis. The Houthis have joined the fight. They are in, everybody. A new fighter has arrived, and it is the Houthis. You've seen them before, but yeah. So they've started launching some strikes on Israel. They haven't done anything, as far as I'm aware, in the Red Sea yet. I think Iran is still kind of telling them to hold off on that until, uh, until they need another escalation. So I don't necessarily think that's going to happen until there's some sort of like another major escalation by America or Israel. But yeah, let's go and watch this video from Al Jazeera. This is Al Jazeera. Yemen's Houthis launch second missile drone assault on Israel as war with Iran intensifies.
Houthis have joined the conflict in the Middle East. Well, the group says it launched a second attack on Israel and that it'll launch many more strikes in the coming days.
In response to the enemy's crimes on our people and our countries, and in support of the freedom of the people, we'll continue, with the grace of God, to carry out military operations in the coming days until the enemy stops its hostilities and aggressions.
Yusuf Mauri is live for us in the Yemeni capital, Sana'a. And Yusuf, are we now starting to see the Houthis widen the types of weapons, munitions used when you look at their second strike?
Yes, and this is why they also launched the drones, the Samad drones that they have used previously. These are drones that fly at a very low altitude and are able to bypass Israeli air defense system, as we have seen in the past. But now we have even warning from United Kingdom maritime agencies warning that the Ansar Allah Houthis could be on the verge of targeting ships in the Red Sea, in the Gulf of Aden, and in the Arabian Sea. In fact, the United Kingdom maritime...
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they are. Like, I'm sure they're prepared for that. I truly think they're waiting for some sort of either the boots on the ground operation or full targeting of Iran's energy infrastructure, or like some clear escalation to do that is my assumption.
Maritime agency is calling on all vessels to not go
Hell
anywhere
yeah.
near
Love it.
Yemen's coastal line off the port of Hodeidah, Aden, and also in other various parts in the south of the country. The Ansar
I see the Palestinian flag.
Houthis are they're not going to be just targeting ships in the Red Sea. They're also going to be targeting ships in the Arabian Sea and even also the Indian Ocean, as we've seen them target ships before, mainly U.S. and Israeli flagged vessels. So that's the main concern right now. And I think with this new alert and notification from these United Kingdom maritime agencies, I think that they are suspecting that the next attack could potentially be an attack on an Israeli flagged vessel, or perhaps even a U.S. flagged vessel somewhere in the Red Sea. What's very clear is that many experts believe their next escalation, the Houthis' next escalation, is not only just going to be targeting the Israeli military targets, but also targeting Israeli vessels and U.S. ships attempting to cross.
Duh. Like, yeah, no shit. That's like their whole big point of leverage. That's what they like. I don't that's something that everybody should have assumed would happen at some point. I don't think you really need intelligence or whatever to understand that that's what's going to happen.
Bab al-Mandab.
And Yusuf, how do people you've been speaking to feel about Yemen entering this conflict?
Well, people I spoke with, they tell me that they suspect that Israel is eventually going to respond. It's only a matter of when.
Okay, Israel, see, this is where I'm like, man. I mean, I'm sure that they will, but it's like Israel is currently sending, fighter jets like 1,000 miles or like however far away to Iran on like, multi-refueling effort flights to Iran on like a daily basis. They've sent their entire, army basically into Lebanon, and they're also carpet bombing Lebanon. And so then I guess they're also going to be carpet bombing. Like at some point they have to like at some point they have to be drawing efforts away from their other fronts if they're going to keep, invading, like, let's say 10 more countries or 20 more countries or 30 more countries, right? Like however many more countries until they're tired of invading literally every country on the planet. Like at some point they are going to be stretched too thin and not be very effective. Like drawing away effect from like the other countries that they're also trying to bomb. So they're not that big of a country, dude. Like they're only 9 million people, and obviously they need America to even prop up their current existence and their current military efforts. Like, um, so I don't know. I just don't. Like I guess I'm just saying I feel like they're already stretched thin. I don't know how many more fronts that are opened against them they can deal with, quote unquote.
They tell me they're used to airstrikes. They're used to years and years of war in Yemen.
They are.
Something, though, they can never get used to is not having access or having limited access to basic necessities such as fuel, such as diesel, such as goods, basic necessities. And those basic necessities could be compromised if Israel decides to target the port of Hodeidah and the port of Salif. As you know, 80% of imported goods, they enter Yemen through the port of Hodeidah. The port of Hodeidah has been closed previously by Israeli airstrikes and even by tightening of sanctions by the US. If the port of Hodeidah is rendered closed, or the port of Salif or Ras Al Isa, if they are attacked and they're not able to function, millions of Yemenis could be on the brink of another humanitarian catastrophe, another humanitarian crisis. As you know,
well, I'm okay. The fact that you're saying that means I'm sure that they will. Like, I'm sure that they will. Israel is like they love creating.
Well, joining me on the set is Nitzan.
Sorry about that. They love creating manufactured humanitarian crises and killing as many civilians as possible. So the fact that you're saying that means I'm sure that's what they will do. But I also think it sounds to me like this is a little bit of like a lot of people always sort of, I guess, how do I want to say this? I think overemphasize any individual action or individual thing as going to turn the tide or whatever. Like the Yemeni people are incredibly resilient, as seen in their perseverance through the genocide committed by Saudi Arabia on behalf of America and Israel against their people. And the Houthis in particular have proven, much, much stronger than anybody could have ever expected. So I don't know. I think that a lot of this seems a little bit like Western sort of thinking of like they're going to collapse immediately if we take out this port or whatever. And again, like we already saw that sort of same thing in Iran where they thought, oh, Iran is going to topple over as soon as we just take out their leadership or like impose some sort of like minor hardship against the Iranian people. And that just didn't happen. So I also don't necessarily think that would change that much, even if they did, cause a humanitarian crisis, which I'm sure they will do.
By the US, if the port of Hodeidah is rendered closed, or the port of Salif or Ras Al Isa, if they are attacked and they're not able to function, millions of Yemenis could be on the brink of another humanitarian catastrophe, another humanitarian crisis. As you know, because in previous wars, when the port of Hodeidah was closed, it led to over 80 children starving to death. So the biggest concern is not just the airstrikes that could threaten the lives of Yemenis. Of course, thousands.
Yeah, it'll be very sad. It'll be very sad. And Israel is a barbaric people for doing things like this. However, like I said, they are resilient people and they will survive. But it will be obviously, at great cost and at great suffering, struggle.
And hundreds and thousands of Yemenis were killed in the previous rounds of Israeli and U.S. airstrikes. However, tens of thousands in Yemen have died because of starvation and having limited access to basic foods and basic necessities. As you know, if there's no gas.
Okay. Yeah, this seems sort of like Al Jazeera is a Qatari, I think, owned media conglomerate, and so I don't know. I think that they're also to some extent, while they are like less biased than a lot of news sources in that they give like some positive coverage to uh like at the very least like the Palestinians and stuff. Um, they I think they do tend to be a little bit anti the resistance groups, like anti-Hamas or anti-Hezbollah or anti like even anti-Iran to an extent. So yeah. But anyway,